Okay, territorial. Okay. When dogs start becoming possessive over things, it can be from an insecurity or it can be from a dominant position. Um, like I told you about a dog having a natural built-in drive to want to survive, that can play a role in it as well, as far as like things like resource guarding. When the dog won't let you get close to the bowl or something, that's because the dog. This is what the dog needs to survive. So at that moment, he's doing whatever it takes to, whether he's scared you're gonna take it from him or whether he's just being dominant. He ain't. You ain't taking it from him. He's showing aggression. And if you want to talk about why a dog is territorial over you, that's more so the dog looks at you as the resource. You know what I mean? So that problem come in as where the owner haven't established a high enough authority over the dog to the point where the dog is making his own decisions. That's why he's territorial, because he's looking at you as the resource and he's guarding that. So if you don't establish a high enough authority, you get them type of problems as far as being territorial and stuff like that. Yeah. And in a life where a dog makes his own decisions is bad. When a dog wake up and make his own decisions, it never go right. Whether it's a dog running out into the street, there you go. Whether a dog going out and biting somebody, up and he to the pound. So yeah.
What are some of the things that you do to correct a dog that got territorial behavior?
Um, Depends on what's causing it, what's triggering it. Determines which route I go at it. You know what I mean? Whether it's research garden, but me personally, everything that got to do with stuff like that, it always goes back to the handler establishing that authority or correcting the dog enough, making the dog have a negative experience. A lot of times when I get people that call me and for training, they going through stuff, and I got to go over there and do behavior modification. It'd be a lot of times they not doing anything to correct the dog. When the dog do it, they don't do anything, and it'd be simple as me going over there making the dog have a negative experience right then and there every time. If a dog jumping on the couch, make it uncomfortable for the dog to jump on the couch. If a dog is comfortable doing anything, it's gonna continue to do it. But if you uncomfortable, if the dog pulling, it's about to be real uncomfortable for you pulling down this street. I'm gonna make sure if you're gonna have a negative experience, you ain't gonna want to do that no more. So what I do is I get a dog the green, like this red, this green. If you over here in the red, it's always gonna be a negative. You never gonna be comfortable. So the dog prefers. I let the dog be like, choose. You're gonna prefer to be over here, you know what I'm saying, on this green side. So that's how I do that, by making the dog have a negative experience, correcting the dog, whatever the case may be.
All right. If somebody called you and said, I got 2 or 3 dogs in the home, and they showing aggressive behavior between them,
Towards each other.
yeah, how would you go about fixing that?
Yeah, that too, that go back into the owner having some type of a high enough authority within the household. And if it's male on male, a lot of times I get dogs that be so dominant, you can't. It's just never gonna happen. I got dogs that I keep apart to this day,
Right.
like that. I ain't gonna let them see each other because I know they're gonna fight. It's nothing that's gonna change that. People could say, nah, nah, nothing's gonna change that. But if you got some dogs that's willing, if you got a situation that's like, okay, this dog doing this because he's just playing dominance, or this dog doing this because he's fearful, you know what I'm saying, or the house too small. You keeping the dogs in the house too much. You know what I mean? They can't coexist together. Stuff like that. So you got to. It just depends. Nothing is absolute, and dog training is all subjective. So it just depends on what's the scenario. You know what I mean? As far as, but it's always on top. It's always gonna go back to correcting the dog. Just showing that it's lines of command, it's chains of command. As far as the household go. So basically, if my dog's fighting this dog, if I got a dominant dog in the house, I'm gonna make sure that dog knows that you got to go through me every time. You got to deal with me every time you do that. So if you want to deal with me every time you do that, don't do it. You know what I mean? You don't want to deal with me. You get what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
that's kind of what you got to like establish if that's the case. You know what I'm saying? But it can vary.
Aggression in dogs sometimes could stem from a dog being fearful. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So
Uh,
you got different type of aggressions. You got food aggression. You got pain aggression. You got sex aggression, and I'm gonna explain. You got skip. It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? To go different categories. Pain aggression is a dog just biting because it's in pain. Sex aggression, a dog biting because another dog is in heat and they want to, or I don't know really what to call this. Or a dog can just be aggressive because you're stopping him from getting to where you come between him and his goal to go that way. So a lot of times you'll see when I'm doing personal protection work of a dog, when I'm first starting with a dog, it ain't that the dog really aggressive or want to bite the handler. It's because the handler is holding the leash and keeping the dog from getting where you need to go. So when the dog want to go that way, oh, you hold me, I'm gonna reach back and bite you. You know what I mean? So yeah, but that's true. Yeah, fear. A dog can be fear aggressive.
uh, is is it any techniques that you use? Training the dog that getting brought to you with aggression because of out of fear.
Yeah, we go back to confidence
Huh.
building, and I'm a lot of times like reassure the dog that ain't nothing about to happen to you, like I said, and that's when I use my windows as far as using the food training to make that moment kind of disappear, to make them cope with it easier, by getting that bonding time during the time I'm feeding the dog. Because nothing is more important than food to the dog for real. Like I told you, they just thinking like I need to survive, for the most part. So when I get that moment where I can enjoy a time while the dog is eating a meal, I kind of make that breakthrough, of trust.